Batman Forever came out the summer of 1995, and the hype was huge, and it was accompanied by a massive tie-in campaign. There were toys and action figures, glassware, McDonalds, the score, the soundtrack, the tie-in video game, and much more. Batman was everywhere during the summer of 1995. There was no escaping the Caped Crusader, and why would you? It was fun for a kid in the 90s being surrounded by Bat merchandise and promotions. And now, 30 years later, it's fun to look back and reminisce about the Batmania of 1995. Let's get into it. While Batman Forever's campaign was not as big as the Batmania of 1989 when Tim Burton's Batman premiered, it was still huge. And it did not have the controversy that Batman Returns had around when it launched summer of 1992. Fans were worried though, so among the hardcore Batman aficionados, there was some controversy over the new direction for the franchise. But parents were relieved, because many concerned parents and non-Batman fans and casual moviegoers were a bit shocked at how dark and sometimes violent Batman Returns was. So the companies that do tie-ins, like the toy companies and the fast food companies, complained to Warner Brothers, and that's the reason why the studio went in a different direction. So Tim Burton was dropped, and when he got removed from the IP, Michael Keaton decided not to return. So we got Joel Schumacher as director, Akiva Goldsman as the final screenwriter, and Val Kilmer as the new Batman for the soft reboot. And since the movie was not as dark as the previous one, and wouldn't be controversial with parents, the licensing deals were aplenty, and the tie-in campaigns were obscene. Let's start with the iconic McDonald's glassware campaign.
Batman. Now I've got him!
You were able to get 4 glass cups from McDonald's, featuring each of the main characters, and for only $1 each. And they also had pogs, or bottle caps, as well, similar to how Kentucky, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut would have bottle caps for the Phantom Menace 4 years later, on top of having cups and toys as well. But for whatever weird reason, Batman Forever did not have any Happy Meal toys at McDonald's. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, especially considering how commercial and more colorful this movie was, compared with the previous one. That was very weird. And before we move on from food tie-ins, we have to remember that Kellogg's had a tie-in campaign with cereal boxes featuring the main characters from the movie on the boxes, as well as tattoos inside. The toys. Let's talk about the toys. Kenner went all out. They had already done a great line for both 89 and Returns, and for Batman Forever they went crazy. They made 2 Batcaves. One was a repaint of the one they sculpted for the Batman 89 Dark Knight collection, aka the Batman Command Center, and they had a new, bigger Batcave which had several levels or tiers to it. Both were very cool. I sadly did not have any Batcave, but I did have the Batwing. And I played with that thing a lot. Same goes for the Batman Beyond Batwing some years later. But I digress, back to Forever. The Batwing had foldable wings and a missile in front, so it had plenty of action features for kids and a nice sculpt and many details for the adult collector. And there were tons of action figures, and I remember very fondly the Riddler action figure. That came with the brain drain helmet. I think I still have the helmet somewhere in the bin, but I don't have the action figure anymore. And I also fondly remember the Twoface figure that came with the coin. I believe I still have that coin, but not the figure. I think I lost all my Forever figures, but I plan on rebuying them all eventually. And I have been collecting the new 4-inch scale retro line from Spin Master that is inspired directly by the 95 Kenner line. Take a look at this Riddler figure. It's new from Spin Master, but it looks almost identical to the one from 1995. And I have the Batmobile up there, and they did a really good job with that vehicle. It looks really good, very detailed, pretty accurate. It's weird that I didn't have any of the Batmans or the Robins from the movie, from the toy line. It might have been because I had so many action figures from the animated line and some hand-me-downs from my brother, from the previous 2 movies. But my brother did recently get me the Guardians of Gotham 2-pack. And these are probably the most normal Batman and Robin from the movie toy line, because most of the other ones are colorful retools and repaints that are not based on anything seen in the movie. As is always the case with any Batman toy line, there will be plenty of weird figures with crazy paint schemes, weird accessories, and action gimmicks. For the kids.
For the kids.
Before I forget, McFarlane did a really good job last year with the 7-inch scale figures. And I definitely need to review those at some point. And there are other movie figures like the one from Batman and Robin, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and eventually they're doing Batman Returns too. And a shout out to Mattel for their 6.5 Val Kilmer figure from like 10 or so years ago. There was a console video game by Acclaim and an arcade game also by Acclaim. The one for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis is considered a very bad game by a lot of people. Its gameplay, controls, and visuals are all underwhelming. And its vibe and the look really don't match the colorful look and the crazy vibe of the movie. They made the game using the Mortal Kombat engine, and they used digitized actors for the in-game character models, just like Acclaim and Midway did for the console ports of the Mortal Kombat games. But it looks weird and ugly. Luckily, the arcade video game came out a little bit better. It's very chaotic in times and very hard, but there is fun to be had as long as you are playing it in co-op with a friend. And this one definitely matches the insanity of the movie, and therefore it's a more faithful game than the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis versions. And yeah, it's an arcade game, but it got ported over to PS1, Sega Saturn, and PC. I think there are much better Batman games of the time that you can spend time with, so I'm gonna make some recommendations right now. The NES and Sega Genesis game for Batman 89 were both really good, and Batman Returns had a really cool beat 'em up. I especially love Batman for Sega Genesis. It was a game I loved growing up, and one day I'll have to review it for this channel because I really love that game, and I have a lot to say about it. And go play Arkham Asylum, or any of the Arkham games. In my opinion, Asylum is the best of the Arkham games. I think they got less good the more open the franchise became, but all the Arkham games are worth your time. All of them. I assure you, the merchandising did not stop with Kenner. There's way more than that. A company named Applause Toys made figurines, statues, cookie jars, mugs, and much more. I love Applause, by the way. They were a great company that made a lot of cool toys and collectibles throughout the 90s. I especially love the Star Wars products, and they even got involved with fast food companies because in 1999 they made Episode 1 toys for KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. There were trading cards from Fleer. These were quite shiny and looked really cool. And there were plenty of books for different ages and different types of people, like the coloring books and the sticker books, the comic book adaptation, various novel adaptations, the behind the scenes book and the official movie magazine, and of course the sticker album from Merlin. And who didn't love a good sticker album back in the day? I know I did. Those were always fun to have and to collect the stickers and put them on the albums. I had tons back in the day like Space Jam, The Mask, Rugrats, Dragon Ball, Spider-Man, and more. And Parker Brothers made the audio game and the Battle of the Big Top 3D board game. And the score by Elliot Goldenthal came out in both CD and cassette. And same goes for the movie's soundtrack, which was glorious, by the way. It had a lot of popular bands, singers, and rappers of the time, so it's very 90s and it's quite the time capsule. And obviously we had the Seal song stuck in our heads at the time, and still do to this day. Admit it, because let's be real, you can't think of this movie without thinking also of Seal and U2, their songs, and the music videos. Both the VHS and the Laserdisc will come out a little later in the year, and I watched the VHS over and over and over again in 1995 and 1996 too, probably. I remember my brother putting it on for me all the time. I watched it a lot in his room, which would eventually become my room, and I probably could have watched it in the living room, but for whatever reason I watched it specifically in that room a lot, and man, I spent many hours playing with the action figures. And I mixed them with figures from the previous movies and the animated show as well. And the list goes on. There were shirts, hats, socks, posters, for all I know there was underwear too. And as with every other big movie in the 90s, there was a lot of coverage, both in print media and television. And there were some big specials on TV, like the E! Special covering the movie's premiere, and more or less a behind the scenes too. It was hard to avoid because the coverage was from every local station in the country, and every big entertainment channel and pop culture focused channel like E! Was covering the movie. Forever was everywhere. You couldn't avoid it. The hype was real for this movie. Some people were so excited that they were stealing movie posters from bus stops. And yes, there was some worry leading up to the movie because it was a new direction and it wasn't going to be a Tim Burton movie. It was going to be a Joel Schumacher movie. And not everyone liked it. Plenty of people disliked the movie, and a ton of people hated the follow-up movie, Batman and Robin. Both films were controversial and infamous for many years, and to some degree they still are infamous and controversial. And they will be forever. But the hate has gone down a lot. I think that with the passage of time, a lot of people have rewatched these two movies and have learned not to compare them with what came before and what came after, and to accept them and enjoy them for what they are instead of hating on them for what they aren't. And the kids and the teenagers who grew up with the Schumacher films, myself included, obviously have fondness and nostalgia for these movies, as well as everything that surrounded them, like the toys and the other tie-ins that we discussed in this video. And our voice within the Batman fandom now as adults has helped change the conversation around this movie and its tie-ins. And the reality is that Joel Schumacher accomplished what he set out to do. He made a fun, over-the-top, very campy, but also somewhat dark at times movie that was more family-friendly and more commercial, and that could move more toys and merch. He achieved it. Whether you like the movie or not, he achieved what he set out to do. And I watched it a lot as a kid, and I was the perfect audience for it, obviously. And it's a movie that gets one excited as a kid. It's over the top in every imaginable way. It's full of action, it's colorful, and it has many exciting moments that make you go, yeah, there he is, it's Batman. Us 90s kids watching the movie at the time felt like that random guy next to Nicole Kidman pointing at Batman, or like Commissioner Gordon when he sees the Batwing, he's like, go, go. We also went, go, go, Batman, go. And while I am more of a fan of the Tim Burton movies, and also love the Nolan movies a lot, I also love Batman Forever, and I love Batman and Robin, and I love how crazy the tie-ins were, and I always will. I want to thank everyone for watching, it means a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you have a lot of nostalgia for Batman Forever, you know, the movie itself, the tie-ins, the toys, or just nostalgia for 90s in general, hit the comments so we can discuss all these things. And if you love Batman Forever and Batman in general, you love TV, movies, comic books, pop culture, nerd culture, if you're a nostalgic person who loves the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, even the 60s, etc., then this is your channel. Feel free to subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.